Yeah, I kind of want to talk about the some more interesting stuff, I guess you can say, um, about basketball. Thinking back, I was thinking like, what's kind of like some fun stuff to talk about basketball. And I was thinking about, let's talk about some basketball history, aka basketball lore. Wanted to talk about how that one time where Stephon Marbury had his Justin TV stream. So for those of you who don't remember, Justin TV was basically like early like Twitch live stream. I mean, there was a lot of stuff back then for live streaming. Like Justin TV was basically the more popular one, and then Twitch was on its early stage at the time. I mean, those were the days, right, where the internet was basically like a Wild West where we can do whatever we want. We can say whatever we want in the chat room. Now everyone's just censoring stuff now. I mean, I heard that, Twitch was like censoring like the word simp. I mean, come on, bruh. Like, dude, like what is so wrong about simp? Like, they're gonna, the things that are going on right now, they're gonna ban like Karen and stuff, like all this. Like, dude, you're taking it a little too far. But Justin TV was the thing back then, and it was like around 2007 or 2008, around that time, I believe, when Stephon Marbury was on the Knicks. And dude, the Knicks were shit. Like the Knicks haven't been good at all. Like they haven't been contenders since the 90s, right? It's been 30 years since the Knicks were really relevant. I mean, yeah, they had that stint with like Carmelo Anthony, but dude, that was like one season where they had like 60 wins, and like after that, it was like whatever's, right? Jason Kidd retires, like all those veteran players that they had retired, and then it just went downhill from there. When Stephon Marbury was on the Knicks, I mean, who was on the Knicks at the time? It was like Jamal Crawford. It was like Nate Robinson. It was like who else was there? Malik Rose. Um, was it Tim Thomas or like I think it was like Tim Thomas. Tim Thomas was there. I mean, my God. Like that team won like 30 wins or something like that, right? Like it was a tanking team. And this was around the time like when Stephon Marbury's, was just wilding on Justin TV. Now, for context, we know why, Stephon Marbury was like kind of wild now. The reason why is because, his mom was, passed away. He was dealing with a lot of issues in regards to the Starberry, shoe lawsuits. And he was just in a bad place in the Knicks. Knicks media were just pounding on him like every single day, right? He was just wilding out, right? Justin TV, dude, Stephon Marbury. I remember watching that shit. Stephon Marbury was eating Vaseline at the time, and he was saying, this was a like old, wives' tale, like.
So look, I got a sore throat, right? So my man, my little brother Hassan, he told me that his grandmother, who's almost 100 years old, told him when you can't get your voice back, take some Vaseline and swallow it. And it'll help you. We're from the old school.
Remedy or a sore throat. You just eat some Vaseline. Till this day, I've never heard of that ever being used. Like a Vaseline, petroleum jelly. Just eat it and your sore throat will be gone. Like to coat your throat with Vaseline. I'm like, I even looked it up once. I was like, dude, is this true? And I've yet to I've yet to see that. But I mean, maybe I can find the clips of, just on TV stuff. I mean, Stephon Marbury was like, wow, no, at the time, you didn't really know what was going on. Like, you don't really know what the full story is compared to now because, I mean, this dude was dealing with a lot of issues, but, at the time, you're thinking, like, what is going on with Stephon Marbury? Like, this dude had, like, strippers on Justin TV. He was just dancing, like, without his shirt. And then he started crying on the stream. Like, I'm like, this dude was, like, going through all these stages of emotion. Like, dude, what is going on with Stephon Marbury? Like, it was crazy. Like, Stephon Marbury's tenure of the Knicks was crazy. I mean, I'm sure they talk about it in this new documentary of the kid from Coney Island. Like, a lot of issues he's dealing with. This dude Stephon Marbury is one. Now, Stephon Marbury, for those of you who don't remember or don't know him, Stephon Marbury was he's basically, a great, all-star caliber point guard who's putting on like 18 and it's like 7 assists or like 20 and 7, right? He gets drafted to the Minnesota Wolves and it was going to be that dynamic of Kevin Garnett and Stephon Marbury, right? That didn't work out because basically it was a competition between who was going to be leading the team. It was either Stephon Marbury or Kevin Garnett.
Apology for Kevin Stephon situation is Batman and Robin. They're a duo. But nobody says, I'll be Robin. Everybody wants to be Batman. Kevin was Batman. Okay. Marbury didn't want to be Robin. He wanted to go be Batman on another team.
And, you sort of hear, from people from his camp and little things in between that to like, he couldn't play with you, the jealousy part or whatever. But until Steph says that to me, I'm going off of.
So the Wolves chose Kevin Garnett and they traded Stephon Marbury to the Suns. And I think this was around 2002. Because at that time, it was like a young, Mark Stoudemire was getting drafted with, Stephon Marbury. They trade Stephon Marbury to the Nets, I believe. They trade him to the Nets. They get Steve Nash in like 2004 or something, right? And then the Suns era starts from there. Stephon Marbury is jumping from team to team. Still putting up some good numbers, but, Stephon Marbury, is not really the most impactful player, in my opinion. Stephon Marbury can put up good numbers, but he's pretty selfish. There is a term for being, a selfish passer. I mean, you can be a selfish passer. Just because you average, 7 assists doesn't mean like, you're selfless, right? Russell Westbrook averages 10 assists. He averages a triple-double. And he's still a selfish player, right? James Harden averaged like 9 assists. He's still a selfish player. Like, so what? So what? But, going back, Stephon Marbury, his career could have been what a thing. I mean, even Stephon Marbury says that, his regret is, if we could have made it work in, the Minnesota Timberwolves, we could have caused some, we could have done some things. And, Stephon Marbury is a what if. And, man, just thinking back on just on TV stuff, I'm like, dude, this guy really was, mentally breaking down. Like, dude, for, like, the Knicks were so bad. Like, the Knicks media was just trashing, Starbury. Starbury at the time had those shoes where it was really affordable, the Starburys. And I think his business partner like messed him up or like some kind of deal. And they went like, they filed for bankruptcy. I mean, there's just a lot of things going on with Stephon Marbury. Like, you didn't really know who his friends were at the time. Everyone's bashing on him. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like, I remember there was like a lawsuit going on with Stephon Marbury too, where he had, he was sleeping with that intern. Like, it was crazy. It was a crazy time, 2008. and maybe I'll talk about next time. But Stephon Marbury, they tried to buy him out, and he didn't want to take it. He didn't want to take it, and he bought. He was banned from like the Knicks practice too. I remember that. I'm like, dude, like what is going on with Stephon Marbury? But you know, it was simpler times back then. Justin TV, Twitch, whatnot. He was just answering questions, talking to people. Like it was good stuff. He was asking questions like, "Hey man, how you doing? Like what should I do during the situation?" He would just give like advice and stuff. Like, he would just interact with people. Like he had that stream where he's doing 24/7, just on stream talking. I'm like, man, like I guess that was just a way of talking to people that just to like let loose steam. But different people deal with certain things differently and stuff.